If you look at your bank account right now and you do not see the numbers you desire, or if you look at your life and realize you are running in circles, do not make the mistake of blaming the economy. Do not blame your employer. Do not blame the government, and certainly do not blame your lack of education. The problem is not outside of you. The problem is deep inside a part of your mind that you likely do not even understand. You are not stuck because you are incapable. You are stuck because you are programmed to be stuck. I want you to really listen to what I am about to say, because it took me 9 years to figure this out, and it changed the entire course of my history. Most people live and die without ever understanding why they do what they do. They are like puppets on a string, pulled by invisible forces they cannot identify, leading lives of quiet desperation, hoping that one day luck will strike. But luck has nothing to do with it. This is a lawful universe. It operates on precise laws, and if you are poor, if you are struggling, if you are stuck in mediocrity, it is because you are inadvertently obeying a mental program that demands that result. I was born on July 5th, 1934. I grew up with the same ideas that most of you grew up with. I was told that if I wanted to do well, I had to go to school. I was told that if I wanted to earn money, I had to find a good job. I was told that security was the highest goal a human being could aspire to, and for the first 26 years of my life, I followed that script. I was a nice person. I was honest. I did not hurt anyone. And yet, I was absolutely broke. I was unhappy. I was sick. I was earning $4,000 a year, and I owed $6,000. I was in a hole that I could not dig myself out of, and the worst part was, I had no idea why. I looked around me, and I saw people who were not as smart as I was, people who did not work as hard as I did, and they were earning 10 times, 50 times, 100 times what I was earning. It made no sense. It violated everything I had been taught in school. School taught me that if I memorized the books and passed the exams, I would succeed. But here I was, watching people who could barely read build empires, while brilliant men and women were walking the streets looking for work. What was the difference? The difference is what I call the paradigm. And until you understand how to shift your paradigm, you will remain exactly where you are, regardless of how hard you work or how many degrees you hang on your wall. Let us look at this honestly. You probably know how to do better than you are doing. If I followed you around for a day, I would see you doing things you know you should not do, and I would see you not doing things you know you should do. Why? Why do we do things that hurt us? Why do we procrastinate? Why do we sabotage our own success just when things start to go well? It is not because you are weak. It is not because you lack willpower. It is because your logic is housed in your conscious mind, but your behavior is controlled by your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is filled with a paradigm that dictates every move you make. A paradigm is a multitude of habits. It is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And when you stop to think about it, almost all of your behavior is habitual. You wake up the same way, you brush your teeth the same way, you drive to work the same way, you talk to people the same way, and you earn money the same way. You are on autopilot. You are running a script that was written for you before you could even speak. Think about the implications of this. From the moment you were born until you were about 6 years old, your subconscious mind was wide open. There was no conscious filter. There was no ability to reject ideas. You accepted everything that was going on around you as absolute truth. If you grew up in a house where money was scarce, where your parents fought about bills, where you heard phrases like, "money does not grow on trees," or "rich people are evil," those ideas went straight into your subconscious mind. They became your truth. They became the lens through which you see the world. And now, 20, 30, 40 years later, you are an adult. You have a conscious desire to be wealthy. You want to travel. You want to provide for your family. You want freedom. But your subconscious program, that paradigm buried deep within, says that poverty is safety. It says that struggle is normal. And because the subconscious mind controls the vibration of your body and the actions you take, you will always default to the level of your programming. You can try to force it. You can use willpower to work 18 hours a day. You can take a second job. But eventually, the paradigm will pull you back. It is like a thermostat. If the thermostat in this room is set to 65 degrees and we open the windows on a hot summer day, the temperature might rise to 75 or 80 degrees. But the moment we close the windows, the thermostat will kick in, the air conditioning will turn on, and it will bring the temperature right back down to 65 degrees. Your financial life works exactly the same way. You might have a good month. You might make a big sale. You might get a bonus. For a brief moment, your results go up. But if your internal financial thermostat is set to poverty or mediocrity, you will find a way to get rid of that extra money. The car will break down. You will make a bad investment. You will lend it to someone who never pays you back. You will subconsciously sabotage yourself to get back to the comfort zone of your paradigm. This is why lottery winners almost always lose everything within a few years. They have millions of dollars in the bank, but they have a poverty consciousness, and the mind will always regulate the reality to match the internal image. Conversely, you can take a multimillionaire, strip them of all their money, drop them in a strange city with nothing, and within a year they will be wealthy again. Why? Because they have a prosperity consciousness. Their thermostat is set to abundance, and they will subconsciously find every opportunity, every connection, and every path to get back to that setting. This is the error mental. This is the mistake. You are trying to change your results by changing your behavior, without changing the cause of the behavior. You are trying to change the fruit without changing the root, and it never works. It cannot work. It violates the law of cause and effect. I have stood on stages all over the world for more than 50 years. I have taught this in seminar halls from Toronto to Kuala Lumpur, and I see the same look in people's eyes. They are intelligent. They are sincere. They desperately want to change. But they are fighting a war against their own minds, and they are losing. They buy the books. They listen to the audio programs. They get excited for 3 days. And then on Monday morning, the paradigm kicks in, and they go right back to the same routine. It is tragic. It is absolutely tragic, because it does not have to be this way. You were given mental faculties that no other creature on earth possesses. You have perception, will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. But most people never use them. Most people do not think. They think they are thinking, but they are really just rearranging their prejudices. They are letting their paradigm run the show, while they react to whatever is happening on the news or in their environment. If the economy is down, they say they cannot make money. If the news says there is a crisis, they pull back and hide. They are victims of circumstance. They are reacting to the world outside instead of creating from the world inside. When I was 26, a man put a book in my hand. It was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He told me, "Bob, do exactly what I tell you to do. Do not ask questions, just do it." I was desperate enough to listen. I started to read that book every single day. I started to listen to recordings. I started to bombard my mind with a new idea. I stopped listening to the people around me who were broke. I stopped reading the negative headlines in the newspapers. I started to focus entirely on one goal. And do you know what happened? My income went from $4,000 a year to $175,000 a year, and then it went over $1 million. I started a cleaning company. I was washing floors. It was not glamorous work. I did not have a fancy degree, but I had changed my programming. I had changed my thermostat. And because I changed the internal setting, the external world had to rearrange itself to match my new vibration. But here is the catch, and this is where most people fail. The moment you start to change your paradigm, the moment you start to step out of that box that has kept you small, fear is going to hit you like a freight train. We call it the terror barrier. It is that invisible wall that stands between you and your freedom. Your paradigm wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you in the known, even if the known is misery, even if the known is poverty. It is familiar.
Your subconscious mind views the unknown as a threat to your survival.
So when you decide to start a business, or ask for a raise, or invest in yourself, your paradigm screams danger. You start to feel anxious. You start to worry. You start to rationalize why now is not the good time. You tell yourself, I will do it when the kids are older. I will do it when the economy is better. I will do it when I have more experience. Those are not reasons. Those are excuses manufactured by your paradigm to keep you in your place. And if you listen to that voice, if you back down when the fear hits, you reinforce the paradigm. You make the bars of your mental prison thicker and stronger. You have to understand that comfort and growth cannot coexist. If you are comfortable, you are not growing. If you are growing, you will not be comfortable. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to feel that fear and step forward anyway. Look at the way we operate in this modern world. We are drowning in information.
You have more knowledge at your fingertips right now than the President of the United States had 50 years ago. You can learn anything, anytime, anywhere. And yet, look at the results. Are people happier? Are they wealthier? Are they more fulfilled? No. We have more depression, more anxiety, and more financial struggle than ever before. Why? Because information does not change paradigms. Repetition does. Emotional impact does. You cannot just read a book once and expect your life to change. That is intellectual gathering. That is filing information in your conscious mind. It does nothing to the subconscious. To change the paradigm, you have to impress a new idea upon the subconscious mind over and over and over again until it pushes the old idea out. It is like trying to dye a glass of clear water red. You can put a drop of red dye in, but if you keep pouring clear water in, it will dilute.
You have to keep pouring the red dye, constantly, persistently, until the entire composition of the water changes. You have to brainwash yourself. And I know that sounds negative to some people. They say, I do not want to be brainwashed. Well, look at your life. You are already brainwashed. You are brainwashed by your parents, by your school, by the television, by your environment. Your current results are the product of that washing. If your bank account is empty, you have been brainwashed with poverty. If you are unhappy, you have been brainwashed with negativity. Why not choose to wash your own brain with ideas of prosperity, abundance, and capability? Why not take control of the process? The most successful people in the world, the ones who build great companies, who create art, who change history, they are not lucky. They have simply built a paradigm that supports their vision. They expect to win. They do not just hope to win, they expect it. It is their default setting. When they face a problem, they do not fall apart. Their automatic reaction is to look for the solution. When they lose money, they do not panic. They know they can make it back. Their internal world is solid, so their external world bends to their will. You have that same power. You have the same mental faculties. You have the same potential. But you are letting a program from the past dictate your future. You are driving through life looking in the rearview mirror. You are letting your previous results dictate your present thoughts, which creates more of the same results in the future. It is a vicious cycle. It is the definition of insanity. You have to stop looking at your current results and letting them control your thinking. You have to start thinking from the goal, not thinking of the goal.
You have to go to that place in your imagination where you are already wealthy, where you are already successful, and you have to live from that place mentally. You have to feel it. You have to walk like it. You have to talk like it. You have to make decisions as that person, not as the person who is struggling to pay the rent. This is where the work is. The work is not physical labor. Physical labor is the lowest form of work. The real work is mental. The real work is holding the image of what you want when everything around you tells you it is impossible. The real work is refusing to let the paradigm drag you back into the comfort zone. I observe people in corporate boardrooms, intelligent executives with MBAs, and they are terrified to make a move that contradicts the norm. They play it safe, they follow the herd, and they get herd results. Mediocrity is crowded. The bottom of the pyramid is jammed with people who are too afraid to think for themselves.
But there is plenty of room at the top. The elevator to success is rarely crowded because most people are waiting for someone else to push the button. You have to push your own button. You have to take responsibility. Responsibility is a beautiful word. It means the ability to respond. You have the ability to choose your response to any situation. But if you are in a reactive mode, if you are on autopilot, you have given up that ability. You have handed the keys to your life over to a program that was written by people who probably did not have the results you want. Think about the people who raised you. Did they understand how to create wealth? Did they understand the laws of the mind? If not, why are you letting their programming run your life? It is not disrespectful to outgrow your environment. It is your duty. You are here to grow. You are here to expand. Every living thing on this planet is either growing or dying. There is no standing still.
If you are not working every day to upgrade your paradigm, you are sliding backward. The world is moving fast. The economy is changing. Technology is changing. If you are operating on a mental operating system from 1950 or 1990, you are going to be obsolete. You are going to be left behind. And it will not be because you are not smart. It will be because you are too stubborn to change your mind. I want you to really look at your habits today. How do you spend your time? Who do you listen to? What do you talk about? Do you talk about ideas or do you talk about people? Do you talk about the future or do you complain about the past? These are the indicators of your paradigm. If you catch yourself blaming, justifying, or complaining, stop. That is the poverty paradigm speaking. That is the victim mentality. Wealthy people do not blame. They take ownership. If they make a mistake, they own it, they learn from it, and they move on.
Poor people love to have a story. They love to tell you why they could not make it. They have a list of excuses a mile long. But you cannot deposit excuses in the bank. You cannot pay your mortgage with a sad story. The universe does not care about your reasons. It cares about your vibration. It cares about what you are putting out. And you can only put out what you are holding inside. If you are holding fear, worry, and doubt, you are going to attract situations that cause more fear, worry, and doubt. It is a mirror. It is always reflecting you back to you. So if you want to change the reflection, you have to change the person in front of the mirror. You have to change the image you hold of yourself. Most people have a very poor self-image. They do not think they are worthy of wealth. They have a deep-seated feeling of inferiority, and they try to cover it up with degrees or clothes or cars. But deep down, they feel small. And that feeling of smallness keeps them in small situations. You have to build a self-image that is consistent with the results you want. You have to see yourself as a person of value, a person of contribution, a person who deserves abundance. And this is not arrogance. Arrogance is fear screaming for attention. True confidence is quiet. True confidence comes from knowing who you are and understanding the laws of the universe. When you understand that you are a creative center, that you have the power to originate thought, and that thought is the most potent form of energy in the universe, you stop being afraid. You realize that you can create your own economy. You realize that you can create your own opportunities. But you have to wake up. You have to wake up from the hypnotic trance that society has put you in. You are sleepwalking through your life, accepting limitations that are not real. The only limits you have are the limits you impose on yourself. You have to make a decision, a committed decision. Most people just make a wish. They wish things were better. But a decision is different. When you make a real decision, you cut off any other possibility. You burn the bridges. You say, I am going to do this, or I am going to die trying. That is the kind of energy that shifts a paradigm. That is the kind of energy that commands success. But you retreat. You step back. You say, well, I will try. Trying is just a noisy way of not doing. You do not try to stand up. You either stand up or you stay seated. You do not try to be rich. You either decide to be rich and do the work, or you accept poverty. The middle ground is an illusion. It is a slow death. You are either moving forward or you are decaying. I want you to think about the last time you really challenged yourself, the last time you really stepped out into the unknown. If you cannot remember, that is the problem. You are playing it safe. And playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do.
The safe path leads to regret. The safe path leads to a life where you look back and say, what if? What if I had started that business? What if I had invested in that mentorship? What if I had believed in myself? Do not let that be your ending. You have the power right now to change the script, but you have to be willing to look at the ugly truth. You have to be willing to admit that you have been your own greatest obstacle. It is not your boss. It is not your spouse. It is you. It is your thinking. It is your paradigm. And until you accept that, nothing will change. You will keep repeating the same year over and over again until you are buried. Is that what you want? Is that why you were born? To pay bills and die? I do not think so. I believe you have something great in you. I believe you have genius in you, but it is buried under layers of fear and conditioning. It is time to dig it out.
It is time to stop apologizing for wanting more. It is time to stop shrinking to fit other people's expectations. You have a debt to pay to the universe, and you pay that debt by developing the gifts you were given, by becoming everything you are capable of becoming. But you cannot do that if you are mentally poor. You cannot help the poor by being one of them. You help them by showing them the way out, and the only way out is through the mind. Everything you see in this physical world started as an idea. The clothes you are wearing, the chair you are sitting on, the device you are listening to, it was all once just a thought in someone's mind. They held that thought. They did not let the paradigm talk them out of it. They moved into action, and that thought became a thing. That is the process. Thoughts become things. But if your thoughts are chaotic, if your thoughts are filled with worry, you are creating chaos and worry. You are a mass-producing machine of misery, and you do not even know it. You have to take control of the factory.